Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to understand one more topic of Drupal called parameter upcasting. So, have you ever wondered whenever we write something like node or slash anything, any number, node ID, and it returns us a page or anything a node with that ID. So it basically loads a node object and renders the page. So, how does that happen? How does Drupal convert this whatever we pass here, which is also known as like if you guys would know about routing system in Drupal. So, how does Drupal convert this slug or argument to a respective and object? In this case, a node object. So that conversion in Drupal is called as parameter upcasting. So if I'm entering here 1, it will return me a node object which will be rendered with the rendered API of ID 1. And if I enter anything like this, so it will return me a page not found because a node of this ID doesn't exist. So again, as I've told you, this happens with the mechanism called as parameter upcasting. Now, to understand more, let's create a custom parameter converter. And yeah, so for that, I'm going to again use the same module called Drupal hacks, which I use for experimenting with Drupal stuff, Drupal related stuff. So here I am. So for let I have give me a second. Yeah. So I have written some notes here which I'm going to use for this video. So for that, first we have to create a service, and that service must be tagged with param converter, which is uh, which is a parameter converter manager of Drupal. So let's copy it from here and paste it. So basically, I am creating a class inside the folder parameter converter. Class name is Drupal Hacks Param Converter, and it is tagged to param converter. I'm going to copy it. Inside the source folder, I'm going to create a new folder known as param converter and paste it. And inside this folder, I'm going to create a new file called as. Give me a second. Let me copy the file name from here so that I do not make any mistake of mismatching the name. I have created a. Okay, I'm inside this folder. I'm going to create a here, and it has created a PHP class file. I'm going to again copy the code from here to save time so that I can explain you guys more. So we have tagged this service called Drupal Hacks Param Converter to Param Converter service. So that is why I am implementing, or we have to implement Param Converter interface. And this Param Converter interface has two methods which we must implement called convert method and applies method. Uh, Before explaining you about these two methods, I have one thing which I wanted to tell you guys is that a great example of how it is implemented, how it works, can be seen in the core module called language. Inside the core folder, language folder, source folder, I can see a language converter implemented. So it too has two methods, applies and convert. So after I'll explain my custom converter, you'll be able to understand the code written over here. So it has two methods, convert, applies. Applies method is used to set, so it is used to decide whether this converter should be applied to any if a converter, so this apply method is used to check if this converter should be applied to a particular slug or argument by checking the argument type. So here I'm specifying if the definition or argument type is of type Drupal hex, then apply. this converter. And after this, the convert method of that respective converter would be called. So here, our case, this method will be called. And inside this method, I am specifying that whatever is passed through this that slug will be accepted by the value argument, and that load that value argument which is of contact type, contact entity type. You can specify node here, so it will load an object of node type. So I have a custom entity type called node contact, so I'm loading object of contact entity type. So basically this method will have your logic of evaluating the value of that slug. So I'm now going to um, yeah, I'm now going to go to the, sorry, I'm inside the code folder, custom Drupal X folder. Now most of the thing is done. I'm just going to copy and create a route for you so that we can test if this converter is actually working or not. So sorry, I have, so you see, yeah. So I have a route which has a path defined as TrupleX contact entity, which is actually a dynamic slug which we intend to be converted to respective object, and a parameter converter next argument. And inside the options parameters, I'm defining this contact entity type slug. I'm defining its type to be Drupal hex menu. So if I specify here entity type node or anything else, it will be upcasted to the respective object, node object or whatever we specify here. In our case is we are creating a custom converter so I am defining it here as Drupal hex menu. Now if you remember, here also at line number 27, I am specifying the type that this converter uh, parameter converter must be applied if the definition, the slug type, is equals to Drupal hex menu, which is the case of this route. So I'm going to save it. Now I'll clear the cache and let's see what error will we get, or it will work smoothly. Okay, so it has returned no error, so I'm hoping everything is fine. I'm going to close it. Yeah. So let's test it. I'm going to copy it and duplicate it and paste it. Okay, so it has written no object not found. By because here I have to specify some ID. Let's here enter 4. So it is returning page not found again. Let's enter 1 here. So it has returned something. It has returned a, a message called hello from Charlie. What is it? So I'm basically going to go to a entity called, this is basically a custom entity. You can specify node as I told you. So custom entity contact. I can see an entity here with ID 1. Now I'm going to add one more entity. My name is Akansha. Saxena, so I'm going to use that only. Female and save. So the entity or contact entity I've created has ID 2. Now I'm going to change the parameter, the dynamic parameter and contact entity to 2. So it has returned me hello from Akansha. So this is working. The parameter upcasting or conversion is working. That is how we create custom parameter converters in Drupal.